Welcome to Senior Strategies, Tools for the Caregiver with Amy Decker and Shayne Silver. Join us on each show where you're going to enjoy a lively conversation that's going to connect you to the tools and resources that you'll need to coordinate care for the seniors in your life. We are so happy that you joined us. Hi, welcome to our show, Senior Strategies. My name is Amy Decker. I am the Director of Client Services with Senior Helpers of South Palm Beach County. I am also a patient advocate for Vitas Hospice and spent 5+ years in an elder law firm. So we're really excited about our program because it kind of all revolves around all of that.
I am Shayne Silver. I am a seniors real estate specialist with the Silver team at Keller Williams Realty. I specialize in helping those over 55 buy and sell. I am also a caregiver, and that's what we're here for to talk about today, tools for those on their caregiving journey.
And we've had a busy couple of weeks. This is actually our third show. Yay!
Yay, we made it.
We made it to our third show. But it's been busy. We had our launch party last week. So that was a lot of fun. We had some great sponsors. We've actually got 2 of them here as guests today, so we'll be able to talk about them. But
we are so thankful to everyone who sponsored our launch and sponsored our show and has really put their faith in us for what we're doing for the community.
And we love to kind of bring personalize a little bit what we talk about on the show. So we try to think about things maybe that have happened in the last week or so. And I think what came to my mind as far as a little story is we host a support group at Allegro in Boynton Beach. And so once a month we all get together, and it's same thing, giving tools to the caregiver to empower them to be able to move on with their life. And very often the caregiver will show up for the support group, also bringing their spouse with them or the person that they're caring for. And if you remember, we had this lovely couple.
It was their first time at our support group.
Yes, and they were touring that day at Allegro, and the gentleman had Parkinson's and was just really beside himself because he was afraid he wasn't going to meet friends, and he didn't like that he was in a wheelchair, and how am I going to get out of my room, and who's going to want to be my friend, and I love my old friends. I'm not going to have the same friends as my old friends.
But what was really nice about our support group is we had other people in the group who were new to Allegro, which is an assisted and independent and memory care facility. And they were actually, from their experience, able to share with just this gentleman that he would make friends. They might not be lifelong friends as he was used to,
right,
but that he would be able to make friends. And there was a men's group playing cards 3 nights a week,
right,
and that someone would come to his room and make sure he made it to meals. And he was, he really felt bad that he was in this wheelchair and that he couldn't do anything for himself.
And that no one would want to be around him for not walking. And right, then his wife had her own set of stresses and issues because
right,
there was no need for her to go into an assisted living. She was going in there to be with him. So she didn't want to go and sell her house because she loved her house and it was close to her kids.
But she was doing it for him because she knew there was a lot that she could not do for him. He really needed 24-hour care, and there was a lot that she couldn't do for him, and she was making that sacrifice.
Right. And then he was sad that she was making the sacrifice. So it was so many emotions. It was just a roller coaster of emotions. But it was nice because we got to spend a full hour talking to him. And then one-on-one we sat afterwards and talked with them. And I do think that they felt better. And they are moving forward with
and
moving
I think
in.
that hearing the experiences of the other people that lived there and went through this transition. We had one gentleman also who moved into the facility because his wife needed it. So hearing his experience, I think, put him at ease a little bit. And
right,
I remember when I was going through that with my parents, my mother didn't want to go, so I had to tell her, and we call these therapeutic fibs in the Alzheimer's and dementia world. I had to tell her that she was moving because my father needed it, and I had to tell my father, I hope they're not listening to this, that he had to move because she needed it. So each one of them was willing to do it for the other, but didn't want to do it for themselves. And a lot of times that's what you run into when you have a couple. One usually needs it more than the other.
Right.
And they both have their own sets of emotions. And we're going to talk about family dynamics a little later in the show, but they each have their own emotions and things that they're dealing with around this big life transition.
Sure, because the one that really doesn't need the care now is moving into a community, and same thing, they have to get to know the other people in there and find something to do while still worrying about their loved one that's back in the room. And so it's hard. There's a lot of things involved, and I think that's what's great about our show today, because we're going to discuss a lot of that.
I am so excited about our show today. We have some wonderful, wonderful resources that I never knew existed before I needed them, and I think many of you might not know existed before you met them. So first we have Janna Zaidspiner with us today, and she is with The Next Chapter. She is a senior placement specialist. And then we have the estate settlers, Harvey and Emily Segal, who are senior relocation specialists here with us today. So I'm excited because we get to talk a little bit about real estate and how it pertains to caregiving. So I'm excited about today's show.
And it'll be great just to see how there's so many things that you didn't know existed, and yet all of us work together so nicely in harmony, putting all those puzzle pieces together. So very often families will call us when the puzzle pieces are all over the floor and they don't really know what to do. And now emotions are involved, where each one of the companies that we'll be talking tonight help put those pieces together.
We often talk about creating a circle of care when you're a caregiver. You know, you need to have your doctor and your neurologist and your home health care agency, but there's a lot of different areas in your life where you need a circle of care, and I think that these companies come together and do that really well and help supporting the families, the caregivers, and the individual. And often the adult children, who are usually the ones handling it.
Right.
A sandwich generation who are usually now becoming the parents of our parents. So.
And that's what we love about this program, is now we get to bring in a lot of our dear friends and colleagues that we've known for so many years, that we've met at networking events, and now they become our friends, and now we get to work together and help all of you, to empower you with things that you may need or things you didn't know existed.
Yeah, I've said before on this show that one of my big whys is to give back to the community, so no one has to go through what I went through and the challenges of learning from scratch, and also to help those people who taught me and helped me on my journey and give back to them as well. So kind of a win-win for everybody. So we hope that you learned something today, and we hope that, as always, you learn that, if nothing else, that you're not alone on this journey.
And we want you to have fun on this journey. So we try to keep the show fresh and a positive vibe, and we look forward to you coming back after this commercial break.
We'll see you soon.
In support of all the work that Amy Decker and Shayne Silver do for our senior community, Prepared Care Emergency Companions is honored to sponsor this segment of Senior Strategies, Tools for the Caregiver.
Hi, I'm Amy Decker with Senior Helpers.
And I'm Shayne Silver, a seniors real estate specialist with the Silver team at Keller Williams.
We are so excited about a new show that we're launching, Senior Strategies, Tools for the Caregiver.
We know that being a caregiver can be lonely and very overwhelming, and we want to help.
And so we hope to empower you with resources and tools that you probably didn't even know existed.
We'll be having some great conversations with people and companies you probably never knew existed and never knew you needed.
We just can't wait for you to join us.
Come join us for some laughs and fun as we give you some tools to use.
See you soon.
Are you considering selling your home? Are you considering downsizing? Are you considering a transition to an independent or assisted living community? Are you considering moving to be closer to your family? Do you need a home more conducive to aging in place? If so, you want to talk to Shayne Silver, co-host of Senior Strategies and Senior Real Estate Specialist. Shayne and her real estate team are extremely knowledgeable and experienced when it comes to helping seniors and their families make life's important transitions. Shayne will guide you every step of the way, making the transition as stress-free as possible. To schedule a no-obligation consultation, call 561-735-3030.
At Senior Helpers, our mission is to ensure a better quality of life for our clients and their families by providing dependable and affordable care. Our caregivers are not just certified in Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's care, but they can also help with light therapeutic exercise, in-home safety, fall prevention, transportation assistance, medication management, fresh meal prep, and personal care and companionship. At Senior Helpers, we help family members better understand the different stages of the disease and create the right kind of care plan customized for you and your loved one. For more information, contact us at 561-969-9990.
Welcome back to Senior Strategies with Amy and Shayne. Coming up next are more tools and resources you will need to make your journey of caregiving a little easier. For more information or to be a guest on the show, please contact us at 561-800-6654. And now, on with the show.
Hi, welcome back to Senior Strategies with Amy and Shayne. We have a great show prepared for you today. We've got some wonderful guests. Our first guest is a dear friend of mine that we get thought of as sisters very often. So you're a sister from another mister, or whatever they call that. And the name of her company is The Next Chapter, and she put this all together on her own because of her great experience that she has. So Janna, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Welcome, Janna.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. But when I worked in senior living, I saw how stressed out the families and the seniors were by the time they made the move and selected a community. So I developed The Next Chapter to help ease their pain, make the transition so much more streamlined, and help them choose the right community. When they call, I really ask a lot of questions to determine what their needs are, what the best fit would be, and try to really act as their concierge so that they don't have to go through all this stress alone.
You even mentioned the word romancing. You have to romance them a little bit just to kind of get it all together and make them feel comfortable.
Quite often they really are hesitant about making a move, but we have to romance it and show them how much more independent they could be in a community that would meet their needs. So usually it's the family trying to urge them to move, or maybe a friend or a neighbor that sees them in trouble and wants them to move. So,
Can you tell us a little bit about what the differences are between an independent living community and an assisted living community? I think sometimes there's a lot of confusion regarding those terms and what they mean.
sure. Well, an independent living community is really sometimes luxury, but just a lovely apartment building with lots of amenities. So there aren't nurses on staff. It's not that they have all the care, but you have the community and the support of the concierge at the front desk, the maintenance team, the housekeeping team. You never have to worry about fixing anything ever again. The only thing you have to think about each day is, what am I going to do today? Where do I want to go? What classes do I want to take? And you go to a meal, you make a new friend, and you start your day off on a positive note.
And do those independent communities often have restaurants or dining rooms?
Most of them have dining rooms where usually 2 meals a day are provided within your monthly rent, but some of them have a dollar balance that works down, and it all depends on the type of experience you would like. And then in assisted living, there's 3 meals a day. So you would also ask about the difference. Assisted living, there's 3 meals a day because we assume you're not going to go out as much. And really the biggest difference is when you start to need help throughout the day and need to be able to push a button and have someone come help you get off the couch, go to the restroom, take a shower, change, start your day, or maybe at the end of the day getting changed and into bed. And also overnight. If you start to need help overnight getting to the restroom, that's definitely when you need assisted living, because there's licensed nurses and CNAs that can help you all day long.
And they have different levels of care. Don't each have a different level? So even if you go into assisted living, there's different levels that you can.
Absolutely. You can start out not needing much help. Maybe you just need standby showering and help changing because you have a bad shoulder or something. And then as the years progress, you may need more assistance. And what's nice is if you move into the right community, they can take care of you for many, many years, hopefully avoiding a nursing home.
So who makes that determination whether someone needs truly an independent or an assisted community?
Well, when you're moving into a community, so we go and we research all the communities, we tour them. They never get your name and number. I'm your concierge. They have to go through me, so you won't get all those phone calls from salespeople every single week or multiple times a week. But what will happen is they'll get a feel for who you are when we visit. And then if you want to go into, if you think you need assisted living, the nurse will determine your level of care. But if we're touring in independent living, I have that going on right now, someone touring in independent living, but I can see that there is absolutely no way they're going to be able to live in independent living. So now I'm gearing them more toward assisted living buildings that feel like independent living, that have similar activities, or when independent living and assisted living have different wings, but they can join together for activities.
Do you ever have them fight you and say, I want to live in independent?
Absolutely.
I'm not going into assisted. So what do you do then?
Well, then we have to talk about finances. Do you have the finances to afford extra help as needed?
Right.
So you can stay in independent living forever. You could have live-in in most of them if you want to. But do you want to do that? Live-in 24-hour care could be like $25,000 a year. And most people don't want to spend that money. You're moving so that you don't have to do that, or you would have stayed in your own home.
Right.
So we try to guide them based on that. Now, I had a cousin who moved into independent living at age 90. She had a bad fall, broke her neck, but all she needed was an hour in the morning and an hour at night to help her change and shower and little things. But she lived for 9 years like that and never had to go to assisted living. So you just never know. You have to really, each person, judge each person separately and based on their needs and kind of their life history and how their parents were when they got older.
And
so
a
we
little
talk about that.
bit of planning for the future, a little bit of, a lot of people look for facilities that maybe have both. So like you said, if you pick the right facility, you can stay there for years and you can kind of age in that facility, start an independent, move into assisted when needed.
Exactly. That's the best case scenario. And also many of them have home care companies based in the building, in the communities, which is excellent because then you can bring in that little bit of help that you need. Typically, when you need home care at home, it's a minimum of 4 or 5 hours. And so it can get a little difficult, but when you're in a community, you can get the help you need when you need it.
Right, and that's even what we do with
That's
senior
right.
helpers. So we're in a lot of the communities, and we can do a 15-minute pop-in to 24 hours. So as long as we've got what we call floaters in the building to continue to be there all day long, we can be there for a little bit or a lot, whatever needed. So it is a bonus for those that want to stay in independent living, but they really aren't qualified to do that. And some buildings, I noticed too, have a specific license that they don't have to leave their room and move into another one to go into assisted. They can stay in the same room. That's nice too.
That is wonderful. Not as many buildings have that,
Right.
because they can't allocate the care staff to get to all
all
of
the
them
buildings.
Right.
in a timely basis. But some buildings have that crossover where, if you turn right, it's assisted living. If you turn left, it's independent living.
Right.
So sometimes they can do that. If we know someone's on the verge of needing assisted living but doesn't want to move to assisted living, sometimes they'll make sure they put them in an apartment that's right near assisted living. So when that happens, they can
It's not a huge
just stay in
transition.
the same apartment and get the care they need.
That is
It's
good.
it's a lot of transitioning, and that kind of takes us into the whole family dynamics. So I know in my end, and I'm sure yours too, sometimes you're contacted first by the adult children or a loved one, and sometimes you're contacted by the individual themselves. So talk about kind of how that differs. That's a different journey for that senior depending on whether they're making that decision
Right.
or someone else is making it for them.
And are they all agreeing on the same destination, or are they kind of fighting?
It can go all different
I'm
ways.
sure.
I've dealt with families that are around the world and trying to help their
Wow.
parents make these decisions and empty out homes and
Wow.
then make that transition from very far away to children that are local, that are really trying to help mom or dad, or both make that decision. So the dynamics, sometimes I have to work with each one individually and then kind of coordinate efforts and see if I can get them to come to some kind of understanding of what's best for the parent. as opposed to what they think should be happening. So I play psychologist a little bit, and I don't mind that because, you know, we all have our family dynamics. We're all going to be in this situation at some point or another. And I try to help them come out with the best outcome. And if mom and dad are really against it, going back to romancing them, I'll say, come, let's just go to an event at this community. Let's just go have lunch and check it out. Kind of gently ease them into it. So, you know, working with the kids has been very beneficial because you also get a lot of information that you might not get from the parents, you know.
Because a lot are in denial.
Exactly.
Yeah, the kids will say, I know exactly what's going on, so a lot will deny that they really need the care.
And a lot of times, I know you've mentioned this, a lot of times the out-of-state children will come down for a holiday, for Christmas or New Year's or Thanksgiving, and really for the first time see what the situation is and realize it's worse than their parent tells them it is, and that's sometimes the impetus for we need to figure out what the next step is.
Absolutely. I have to say, usually after like Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, our phone is blowing up. Like I spent Christmas at my mom's. I had no idea that my dad was that bad off. We haven't been there in a while. They sound great on the phone.
Right.
But man, face to face, we need somebody in there immediately. So yeah, that's when Senior Helpers gets the busiest.
And I'm sure you too.
I
And I'm sure
agree.
you
I was
too.
just over here nodding my head because, you know, you think, oh, holidays, it'll be quiet. Oh, no. That's when all the kids are blowing up their phones saying, my friend told me about you. I need your help. I'm heading back to New York or Connecticut or wherever. And my parents are a hot mess. Help.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
And I think you dealt with that yourself probably a little bit.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. We get that too. And it's, you know, sometimes I have to share this story because it really depicts what we see a lot. We were called in by a couple who was 87 and 88, and he couldn't see and she couldn't hear, and they called me in to sell their condo. And when I sat down at their table, and I said, why are you moving? I saw the situation they were in, and they said, well, we want to go move back up to Connecticut where our children are. And the first thing I always ask is, do you have an adult child who helps you make these decisions, who works with you or handles your finances? Can we get them on the phone? And we sat there at the table and we called the daughter and I explained who I was. And I said, do you know that your parents want to sell because they want to move to be closer to you? And she broke out laughing. And I didn't know what that meant. And I just sat there quietly and she said, they've brought it up a few times, but I thought they were joking. I said, well, they called me and I'm sitting at their table.
It's
so
not a joke.
Can we talk?
Yeah.
Right. It's not a joke. And that's a good situation where the parents actually realized they needed more assistance.
Yes, without having to force it.
Those are far and few between. Most of the time, it's the adult child or a neighbor or a caregiver or someone who realizes these people can't live like this anymore.
Right. And so then that's how we can bring Emily and Harvey Segal into this, because now the house has to sell. Now we have to move them into their assisted living, independent living.
Yep.
And now we're going to get you involved in what you do.
So we have Harvey and Emily with us also today from the Estate Settlers, and they are a huge resource to me and my team and my clients. Tell us a little bit about what you guys do.
So we are senior relocation specialists. We work with families to help them downsize, move, ship, clean out their homes, whatever it is that they need for us to do for them. We're like a concierge. We will go through the whole process with them. We'll ask them what they want to keep, what they want to ship, what's important to them to move with. You know, they've been collecting things their whole lives, and these things mean a lot to them. And you have to respect what they have, whether or not it's a Beanie Baby or it's some big piece of furniture. You know, we have to respect everything that they have. So we go through everything with them, and we will say, all right, what are you keeping? What are you taking? What do your kids want? Do they want this grandfather clock? Do they want this grand piano? And then we get everything out of the house that they want, and then we start the process by cleaning their property out and so on.
It is all about the process. What we do is once we coordinate the move into sorry about that. Once we coordinate the move into assisted living, independent living, or memory care, or even if they are moving to be closer to their children, like Shayne said, Once we coordinate the move and they are out of the house, then we distribute, if any of the family members want any of the items in the house, we arrange packing and shipping of those items to family members that either live locally or out of state. And then the next process is bringing buyers in to the home without the family member being there, because again, it's so stressful to begin with, moving into another community or making another move at this point in their life after living in a home for 40 years and collecting all of this memorabilia and treasures. So we understand the stress and anxiety and what these things mean to them. So they're not in the home when we bring the buyers in, and we try to sell off whatever assets we can, whatever is in the home that is saleable, artwork, jewelry, antiques, down to unexpired food in the pantry. And the money that is used from selling these items is put towards the clean out. And then when we say clean out, we mean cleaning out the whole home and leaving it broom clean for it to then go on the market. So it's all about the process. We understand what our clients are going through, like Shane said.
And also, it's not about us, it's about the client.
Right.
And it's what they need, it's not what we need.
It's right. And we're that sandwich generation, so we understand. I personally understand. I lost my parents. I downsized my dad into an assisted living community, and after 2 years he passed away, and then we had to clean out the apartment in the community. So we hold their hand, and it's just very, very we're very compassionate, and we have the empathy and know what they go to.
I have to say that I have called Harvey and Emily with some of the toughest situations and some of the toughest clients, and they have been professional. They have taken so much care when it comes to understanding the client's needs and wants, and really, being so careful of their belongings, because like you said, you don't realize until you go to move and pack up what you've collected. Even if you've lived in a house for 10 years or 5 years, you accumulate stuff. And it's not that it's always monetary value, it's sentimental value.
Right.
And to these people who are going through this whole life change, right, and now they're going into an assisted or independent living, that's a huge change. They're worried about losing their independence, they're worried about their life changing, they can't get out of their wheelchair anymore, and now you're taking away their things. And it's very emotional, and I've seen them work with some really difficult situations, and I've seen them be so caring and really so helpful. These are people who often can't pack things for themselves, can't ship things for themselves. And they take the care of going through and figuring out, what here is worth something that we can sell for them, what's going to be shipped, what they're going to pack up and take with them and unpack it when they get where they're going. And most of the time they're downsizing, so it can't all go with them.
But there's
and
a lot,
what they
I'm
have
sure,
to dispose
involved.
of. It's a big job.
Because best case scenario, not everybody is going to be clean, tidy, put things away, drawers closed, and you may find as they get older, they slack off on all of those things. So by the time you get in there, I'm sure you have seen some really interesting situations.
You know what, Shane and I, we worked on this with Jeff in a house down, I think, in Davie.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. The guy had dementia. He was estranged from the family. He hasn't paid his taxes in over a year, right? Mm-hmm. The house, the power was off. There was no running water. There was a hole in the living room ceiling that was dripping water, and it was a beautiful sunny day. So you can imagine how wet everything was. And this guy lived in there by himself, until his daughter, someone contacted his daughter and had no idea.
I was going to say, how did he get found out?
No one had any idea. He was estranged from his family. He was basically I don't think he was able to even leave the house, and he was living in this home that no one should have been living in.
And the neighbors didn't notice it, I assume. They didn't realize that he was...
pay attention to him, but
wow.
I cleaned out the refrigerator. I had cockroaches all over me. They ate,
my goodness.
Like the pizza boxes were empty. All the cans in the cupboards popped. And this guy would, how do you live like that? I feel terrible.
And with dementia, he didn't know. So
No.
to him, probably everything was fine.
Maybe.
Yep.
I
Sad.
don't know, but it's
Yep.
just, you know.
But we sent them in,
we
and I
did it.
apologize when I called that I was sending them into this situation, but they did a phenomenal job, and they were able to get it done, and we were able to get the roof repaired, and we were able to get the house sold,
Right.
and we were able to reconnect him with family, and
probably that money helped pay for his wherever he was.
yeah.
And do you,
Yeah.
so you'll go in, clean up the house, and then do you have somebody else that comes in and does the painting and the repairs?
So,
or does your
yes.
company do that?
So yes, we'll work with another
We
company.
could work, we have people like that, Shane's got people like
Yeah.
that, so we can all, what's nice about this group is that we all work together
Right.
nicely, and we all work one after the other. We know what we each can do. You know, we're basically at the end, right? So you're gonna sell it,
Right,
you're going to closing, you have to get it done.
right.
Right.
You've got to move somebody into their assisted living or wherever they're going, now the house has to get done.
Yep.
So, and then we kind of take over.
And
work
then
with
you
the
move them
families.
into the assisted living?
We can coordinate the move
Okay.
into the
We don't
assisted
personally
living.
move them in. We've
Coordinate
got,
it.
we
Companies.
coordinate the whole
Gotcha.
thing. We've got movers that we work with, professionals. I believe in working with professionals.
Right.
You know, you only know so much. And I don't like the stress of something going wrong. I like everything working.
Mm-hmm.
And with our process, everything works.
And everyone stays in their lane, and everyone knows what
Right.
their job
And it
is.
works.
And it
Yeah.
all gets done to the benefit of the client.
And we don't do anything without an okay from the family.
Right. We work together. We're in constant communication with our clients through texting, FaceTime if they are out of state. And just they know when we're going to be at the house. They know when we're leaving.
Why
they know
we're going to the
exactly,
house.
right, if we're meeting a buyer, we're meeting a repair person.
I think
Constant
it's very
communication.
sweet and it's very comforting to know that you don't have them at home when people are in there buying things.
Well, that's
that, like you said, that would
Right.
be tough.
Can you imagine we had worked with this lady. She had probably a 4,000 square foot home, moving down into a 1,500 square foot independent living. Wonderful woman, but this cup had a story to it. Her and her husband went to France and collected this cup. This table had a story to it. This
Right.
piano had a story to it,
Wow.
and nothing was going to be left behind.
And we were,
She wanted everything into this 1,500 square foot.
Oh my goodness.
and her
apartment.
furniture was
Oh
huge,
my God.
very
Wow.
tall. So she was limited to where she was moving because she needed high ceilings. So she was bringing 4,000 square foot of
Wow.
furniture into this apartment, which is not a tiny apartment. I mean,
Right.
1,800 square feet is pretty nice.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
it is.
And she brought everything with
Wow.
her. I don't know how we did it, but we did it. And we work with them to try and make them happy. And
Right.
we
That's
had-
awesome, and I think that's
Yeah.
what's so good about you. We're going to come back. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're
gonna
resume our
talk some more.
conversation. Yep.
Please join us after the break.
In support of all the work that Amy Decker and Shayne Silver do for our senior community, Prepare to Care Emergency Companions is honored to sponsor this segment of Senior Strategies, Tools for the Caregiver.
Hi, I'm Amy Decker with Senior Helpers.
And I'm Shayne Silver, a seniors real estate specialist with the Silver team at Keller Williams.
We are so excited about a new show that we're launching, Senior Strategies, Tools for the Caregiver.
We know that being a caregiver can be lonely and very overwhelming, and we want to help.
And so we hope to empower you with resources and tools that you probably didn't even know existed.
We'll be having some great conversations with people and companies you probably never knew existed and never knew you needed.
We just can't wait for you to join us.
Come join us for some laughs and fun as we give you some tools to use.
See you soon.
Are you considering selling your home? Are you considering downsizing? Are you considering a transition to an independent or assisted living community? Are you considering moving to be closer to your family? Do you need a home more conducive to aging in place? If so, you want to talk to Shayne Silver, co-host of Senior Strategies and Senior Real Estate Specialist. Shayne and her real estate team are extremely knowledgeable and experienced when it comes to helping seniors and their families make life's important transitions. Shayne will guide you every step of the way, making the transition as stress-free as possible. To schedule a no-obligation consultation, call 561-735-3030.
At Senior Helpers, our mission is to ensure a better quality of life for our clients and their families by providing dependable and affordable care. Our caregivers are not just certified in Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's care, but they can also help with light therapeutic exercise, in-home safety, fall prevention, transportation assistance, medication management, fresh meal prep, and personal care and companionship. At Senior Helpers, we help family members better understand the different stages of the disease and create the right kind of care plan customized for you and your loved one. For more information, contact us at 561-969-9990.
Do you have an idea for a show or a podcast? Do you want the opportunity to be on TV? Ant Media Productions is partnered with True Oldies Real Radio Station and powered by many online platforms such as Roku, Facebook, YouTube, and even Amazon Fire to help amplify your impact. Do you want your voice to reach a wide audience? Call us today at 866-224-5422.
Ant Media Productions is excited to announce our expansion into North Miami. With our experienced team of radio and TV professionals, we are dedicated to bringing North Miami the highest quality audio and visual production services. Whether you need radio or television commercials, podcasts, music videos, or audio and visual storytelling, we can provide the solutions to help you reach your goals. Our team is reliable, innovative, and creative, and we're ready to help you develop the perfect product. With our competitive rates and personalized service, you can trust that your project is in the best hands. Contact us today to get started on your project. 866-224-5422.
Welcome back to Senior Strategies with Amy and Shayne. Coming up next are more tools and resources you will need to make your journey of caregiving a little easier. For more information or to be a guest on the show, please contact us at 561-800-6654. And now, on with the show.
Welcome back to our show. We're having a wonderful, lively conversation about what we do. And I think what's great about all of us in the businesses that we're in, we could actually write books on some of the stories of how we deal with things. But that's what you have to have is comedy. There's got to be a sense of humor in this.
There's always got to be a laugh somewhere.
Yes.
Because I often say if I didn't laugh, I'd probably be crying because of the situation. And I know that a lot of caregivers out there often feel that way. So we hope that not only can we bring you the tools and resources to help you on your caregiving journey, but also bring some light to the situation.
Right. And so when we ended before the commercial, we were talking about just different stories, which I'm sure between Emily and Harvey and Janna too, and Shayne, just the different dynamics, whether it's dealing with family, whether it's a disaster that you walk into that then becomes something better. So I know you had mentioned that there was a woman that had all kinds of furniture and
Right. So we had a client, it was a guardianship case, and they needed to get the client on Medicaid. So in order to get her on Medicaid, they needed her Social Security number. And she was a hoarder. So we needed to go in and
find
the Social Security number in this house that was completely just packed from floor to ceiling. And we found the Social Security number. It was that golden ticket we found in a closet, in a metal box, behind, underneath, beside, next to, hidden. We were, climbing over each other, and we found that golden ticket and was able to get her on Medicaid. So we'll do what we have to help our families.
We're working on a case right now where it was something similar. It was a guardianship case, and there was a car in the garage that was dead, and we couldn't do anything until Harvey and his crew found the keys so that we could move the car out and get rid of that.
Oh,
so
my goodness.
it happens. It happens. You know, unfortunately, most of the time that we get called in, it's a situation where someone either hasn't been caring for themselves or caring for the house, or, you know, sometimes they are. Sometimes it's great and it's easy and it's simple and, you know, they know exactly what they want to take and what they can't, but if you're
usually, if dementia's involved, then
Right.
once that sets in, they
Whether
forget
it's-
how to clean, how to organize, you've got a bigger problem on your hands.
even if it's someone that's just downsizing from
Right.
the 5-bedroom home that they've raised their children in
To a studio.
3-bedroom apartment in a 55 over community. It doesn't
True.
even have to be an AL or an IL. Their services are available to you and they do an amazing job, and they can do that too. It's not just for people that are moving into an assisted or independent community.
We had somebody's car in our driveway. There was a client that we were cleaning out their home, and the estate was in probate, and we had their car in our driveway for 6 months until everything was settled and we were able to sell the car for our
my
client.
goodness.
So you do what you have to do for
And
them.
sometimes you have situations, I think, where they've got pets. But then you've got to decide what to do with a pet. Because I know I've
My
had.
mother has one of those pets.
and
then you end up keeping them.
We fall in love with them. We
she's
don't
been
want them
with
to go
us
to
for
a
2 years
shelter.
now, probably, right?
Oh, that's right. Yes, you're the
Yeah, how
animal
many do
lovers
you
that-
have now?
We have 4 dogs now. My mother-in-law
Yeah, we can't have
adopted
any
another
more.
dog.
Oh, my.
So yeah.
And you helped a turtle across the road. I
We
saw the
saved
other
turtle,
day.
yes.
Very
Saved the
busy.
Rottweiler the other day, like
yes.
a couple of weeks ago.
You got a Rottweiler now.
saved
We were going
one.
out.
Oh, you
Saved
saved a
one.
Rottweiler.
I can't have any more dogs.
We-
right
Yeah.
That's it.
now. We don't have
Done.
any more room left in the bed.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, is there any more room left in the bed?
No more.
120-pound dog just not going to make it.
No.
Not
And
with the
Janna,
rats.
I know we had talked before too. You had a couple of stories of just some of your clients that touched your heart, or maybe started out a little bit wacky and then it turned out to be a good situation.
Well, one that just came to mind was my very first client, and it was a couple living on the beach in a condo for about 25 years. They moved there from New York. They loved it. But little by little, people passed away or moved to live closer to family, and they were feeling very much alone, and all the younger generation of 55 to 65-year-olds moving in there. And she was 84 and he was 91. And she said, God, if he passes away before me and leaves me here, I don't know what I'll do. So we started looking at independent living. He was very much against it, but we probably visited about 12 locations and finally found the one that he said, ooh, I kind of like it here.
Wow.
And
How
so-
long does that take? If you're
it
going to
could
12
months.
I was going to
you
say.
know, because they don't
Wow.
always want to go or they don't
Yes,
feel good.
right.
And you have to be very
Wow.
flexible and go with the flow.
Patient.
So yeah, we'd visit like 2 a day, and we just kept plugging away. Like every week, once a week, we'd go out and look. And they moved in. They right away got involved in everything.
good.
Became the life of the party. They had really lost most of their social life, but they had been very social. They're big dancers. They like to sing.
Aw.
She likes to do comedy, so she started a comedy group. It's just amazing to me. And then during COVID, he did get sick and pass away.
Aw.
And so she said, but I was left with a whole community of people to support
To
me.
support her.
You
And
know?
so if somebody wanted to reach out to you and contact you so that their loved ones or their family members need to start looking, where can we find you?
You can go to my website, thenextchapterfl.com, or call me anytime or text 561-632-4406. And I help a lot of people that have low income too, with resources on where to go
Good.
and how to find, the proper communities for their loved ones. I really just try to be, I started out in community relations with Morse Life, and I really try to keep up that angle and just help people.
And I can tell you do have a giant heart, and so compassion is really what all of us need to do this.
I hope that you see that come through from everyone that we have here as a guest. When we are dealing with this demographic and individuals going through these life changes, you have to have a heart. You have to have a heart to deal with these people. You have to be compassionate. You have to be able to kind of stand in their shoes and see why they're having these emotions and,
Right.
and really be able to hold their hand through the process.
And you can't teach somebody empathy.
No.
You really can't.
No.
You think that you can, and you try to kind of mold them into that. But if they don't have compassion and empathy,
No.
it just doesn't
You know
That's
work.
what?
not something
It's
you
more
can do.
about. It's not really about what we do. It's about why we do what we do.
Right.
and it hopefully shows through.
And it's rewarding because
is
you're paying it
rewarding.
forward. It's rewarding. It's like anything else. You know, the little things that you do during the day. You go to Aldi and give somebody your quarter and take the cart and say, keep your quarter. Whatever it is, you open the door for somebody, you compliment. These are bigger jobs at that, but that's all rewarding because you're paying it forward. And then if somebody needed to get a hold of you to say, okay, we're ready.
Right. So you can go to our website at theestatesettlers.com, or you can reach us at 561-207-7654.
You could also find us on Google.
And you can find us on Google as well.
Great.
Yeah.
And you can see them driving around town
And in
now,
our
too.
truck,
Right.
yes. And honk and wave if you do see us in our truck. But I also want to say how lucky we are to have the resources to help families and friends that don't realize that there are services out there for everything that
Right.
they
We
need.
personally have used these resources.
Exactly. Both Amy and Shane and
We've been-
others, and
understand.
they're just amazing people, and they have
And
a
it
heart.
feels good,
and-
like I said, to put the pieces together.
Yes.
Like their puzzles laying all over the floor and they don't even know where to begin. And now we get to give them pieces to say, let's fill these little spots up. And they're so happy to do it. And I think we've all done it for so many years that it just is second nature to
Right.
refer to all of us and to, you know.
So if you're out there in the audience and you're hearing us, and you think you might be in need of one of these services, or maybe there's a service we haven't mentioned yet on any of our shows, something that you need, a resource, please reach out to us, Amy or I, here at Senior Strategies. You can reach us directly at 561-800-6654, and we can connect you with any of the people that have been on our show, as well as any resource we might not have brought you yet.
And if this is the first show that you've watched or viewed, we have others. If you go to our Facebook page, which is seniorstrategies.pb, we have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram page, we have a YouTube channel. Eventually, we're going to be getting a podcast. So
But
if
you can
there's-
find all of our resources and our past shows there as well.
Exactly. So you can watch past shows, but again, you can leave us comments there. So if there's something you'd like to hear more of, or maybe you have something that you'd like to share on our show and be a guest, we would certainly love to hear about that too. That's our goal, is to get as many people on and share everybody's knowledge with those that need it the most.
And share these resources.
That's right.
Absolutely. We have a lot of great resources lined up. There's a lot of ways for you to find us. And also don't forget about our support group, right? Which meets the third Thursday of each month at Allegro Senior Living in Boynton Beach. You can reach out to us or to Allegro directly to get more information on the support group.
And that's June 15th at Allegro. It's at 5 p.m. It's an hour long. And you can call 561-424-3294 to RSVP if you'd like to attend. We'd love to see you there. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you know when you're doing the next virtual dementia tour? Because we have people who have been calling in and asking for that.
Okay,
Do we
so
know when the
I
next one
don't,
is?
but we offer that to any of the communities. If you would like a virtual dementia tour, it's something that we set up within a community. We put things on their hands, their feet, their ears, to give them the sensation of what it's like to have dementia. Then you go into a room where there's a strobe light, and they give you 5 things to do
It is-
that you may not even remember what you were supposed to do when you got in there.
It is a life-changing experience
is.
for me, being the caregiver of someone with dementia. It really shows you what they're going through and why they react the way they do. So we're going to find out when the next one is.
Right,
Or
and we
we'll set one up.
always encourage, especially family members that are in memory care, for the spouses, for the family to come in. Because very often they get frustrated and they get angry, and I just told you that, and I'm not repeating myself, and then they go through this.
And
We have
then
a
you
lot that just
understand
sit
why.
and cry. They'll sit down on the bed and start crying sometimes.
It's
So.
an amazing resource, and we have had some people calling in asking about that.
Yeah.
What other phone calls? What other questions can we ask? What have we gotten lately?
Virtual dementia tours. We do baby therapy in a lot of the communities as well, where I bring life-looking baby dolls that for some people, when you walk in, they're crabby and they're nasty and they don't want to be there, but you set this little baby in front of them and they can't help but laugh and talk baby talk. I have a gentleman in one of the buildings, he teaches the one boy baby how to whistle. So he'll sit in the corner and whistle with them.
Yep. Yep. You post a lot of pictures of them just cuddling these babies,
Yes.
and sometimes they cry, and sometimes
lot
they
of
rock
times they
them and
cry.
talk to
Yeah,
them, and
yeah.
they're very lifelike.
They are, and I think I've told this story before. We had a gentleman that was nonverbal for at least 5 years, And I set a baby in his arms and his eyes lit up and he started singing a lullaby. And we found out he was a retired OBGYN. So all the nurses and the aides took a video to show the family. We were all crying, but it was sweet. It opened up a little part of his brain that was closed off for a long time, and it just brought a memory back to him. So I think that's what we like to do. I think all of us like to do that. We want to make a difference in their life. If we can do something to give them a purpose.
If we can make it easier, give them a purpose,
Yep.
make it easier, just that empathy.
Right.
Understanding. And I think that as a caregiver, sometimes we're so in it that we forget to take a step back.
Right.
And think about why they're reacting the way they're reacting or doing the things that they're doing, because we're so in it and we get frustrated.
Right. You're
but if you take a
emotionally
step
involved.
back and realize this is not them, this is the disease talking, this
Right.
is not them talking, they have no control over this.
But you see your mom, you hear her voice, you see her body, you expect what comes out of her mouth or how she acts is going to be what she would normally say, and it usually isn't, and it's so difficult. So it's easy for us when we're dealing with our clients because we didn't know them before. And
Right.
we'll say, oh, be patient, you got to be patient, till my mom started doing it to me. And I'd get off the phone, like, I can't. My sister would say, don't you, teach classes about that you're not supposed to act like that? But it's hard when you're emotionally involved.
Sometimes it's something simple. We took my parents out to dinner the other night, and my mom was looking at the menu, and she was going to order something that never in her whole life would she ever eat. And I was like,
And you got
know what?
annoyed.
I'm going to order for you because I know what you like. And she was a little annoyed with me that I was ordering for her, but I knew if she ordered this one thing, I knew never in a million years in her whole life would she ever have eaten it. But she forgets and she looks at the
Right.
menu and she doesn't know what to order, so she just kind of goes, okay, I'll have that.
When you'd be swapping plates and you'd be
Of course,
eating that.
of course, and I didn't want to.
Right.
So thank you again for joining us.
We're happy that you're here. We're happy that we can laugh. I think there's so many out there that are watching this that aren't laughing because they're still in the throngs of it all. And so, whether it's just a cute little story,
Yes.
and that's another thing too, even on our Facebook page or our Instagram page, feel free to leave us a story. It's something maybe that we can share. I did a webinar, and there was a woman that I met through the webinar that I bought her books, and now we're friends on Facebook. And so she can share things with me, and it's somebody that's actually dealing with dementia and writing books blow by blow. Like today I woke up, I was very confused. I didn't recognize what I looked like in the mirror.
Right.
And then the fog lifted and I was okay again. Then I could walk to work. And then midday through the day, somebody walked in her cubicle, and it was somebody that she had worked with for 10, 15 years, and she did a deadpan stare. She had no idea who the person was, and they were noticing it.
Right.
So she's writing this book, and it's so good. And then she talks to herself a little bit like, you used to be my friend. You used to know that recipe, and now you
Right.
don't know it anymore.
Right.
And why are you doing this to me? And
Right.
so there's a lot of really great publications out there
is.
too that
and
we'll offer.
if you have any resources that you think we maybe need to know about, please share those with us. We'd love to have them on the show. We'd love to share them with others. We don't want anyone to have to start from scratch.
Right.
So again, if you'd like to be on the show, if you have need any resources that we could share with you, or just have a topic that you want us to touch about, please, again, give us a call at
561-800-6654, or you can do seniorstrategies.pb@gmail.com. And we can share your thoughts. Even if you have something just fun you want to share with us, we'd be happy to.
we love nice, happy, uplifting, positive
Right,
stories
right.
from our caregivers.
Exactly. That's right. So again, thank you for being here for the third time. I think we're going to
Yes,
wrap
this
it up.
is really it.
We're really going to
is
wrap
really
it up
it.
this time.
And we'll see you next time with Heidi Friedman, Elder Law, and Pam Weiner with Guardianship.
Yep.
So join us next time.
Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
In support of all the work that Amy Decker and Shayne Silver do for our senior community, Prepare to Care Emergency Companions is honored to sponsor this segment of Senior Strategies, Tools for the Caregiver.
Hi, I'm Amy Decker with Senior Helpers.
And I'm Shayne Silver, a seniors real estate specialist with the Silver team at Keller Williams.
We are so excited about a new show that we're launching, Senior Strategies, Tools for the Caregiver.
We know that being a caregiver can be lonely and very overwhelming, and we want to help.
And so we hope to empower you with resources and tools that you probably didn't even know existed.
We'll be having some great conversations with people and companies you probably never knew existed and never knew you needed.
We just can't wait for you to join us.
Come join us for some laughs and fun as we give you some tools to use.
See you soon. Thank you for joining us today on Senior Strategies. We hope that you found the tools and the strategies that we offered you beneficial for your journey as a caregiver. We want you to leave today feeling empowered and supported.
Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube for upcoming shows and events. For more information, to schedule a consultation, or to join a support group, please contact us at 561-800-6654.
And remember the strategies
and tools you can use
to make your journey easier.